When you think of ancient Egypt, what comes to mind? Pyramids, pharaohs, and cats, right? For the ancient Egyptians, the cat was more than a pet. It was a sacred symbol of grace and poise. And at the heart of all that cat worship was one goddess in particular, Bastet. We see her everywhere in museums, a serene figure with the head of a cat, often surrounded by kittens. She was the gentle protector of the home, of childbirth, and of family. The very picture of domestic peace. That's the Bastet we think we know. But that's not the whole story. Because before she was the beloved house cat, she was a lioness. A goddess of war and vengeance, the Lady of Dread, whose job was to protect the sun god by slaughtering his enemies. So how does a terrifying warrior goddess become the purring companion of the pharaohs? This is the untold story of Bastet, and the incredible transformation that shaped ancient Egypt. We're going to uncover the secret role of a goddess who was so much more than she appeared. The guardian of the Egyptian home. To really get a handle on Bastet's power, you have to understand why she was so universally adored in her most famous form. In the daily life of an ancient Egyptian, Bastet wasn't some distant, abstract goddess. She was right there, a vital presence in the home. She was the goddess of the hearth, of family life, of women's secrets, and the fierce protector of everyone under one roof. Picture a small mud brick house near the Nile. Inside, a family's most valuable possession isn't gold, it's their stored grain, the food that would get them through the year. That grain was under constant threat from rats, mice, and snakes that could wipe out a food supply and spread deadly diseases. But the Egyptians had a perfect, elegant solution to this problem: the cat. Cats were the guardians of the home and the granaries, dispatching vermin with silent efficiency. This practical, life-saving job was seen as a direct blessing from Bastet herself. The cat wasn't just a pet, it was a little piece of the goddess, living right there with you. Because of this, Bastet became one of the most popular gods in the entire pantheon. While other deities were busy with the cosmic order or the fate of the pharaoh, Bastet was concerned with you. She was called upon for a safe childbirth, a healthy family, and a home free from evil. Egyptian women, who held a relatively high status in their society, held Bastet in special reverence. She was their divine champion and the protector of their children. This personal connection is obvious from the sheer number of artifacts archaeologists have found. Small statues and amulets of Bastet were some of the most common items in any Egyptian home. A family might place her statue by a door to ward off evil. A woman might wear an amulet of Bastet with kittens, with the number of kittens showing how many children she hoped for. Bastet was also the goddess of joy, music, and dance. Her worship wasn't just about solemn prayers, it was about celebrating the good things in life. Her sacred instrument was the sistrum, a kind of holy rattle. Shaking it was thought to please the gods and drive away evil, filling the home with a joyous, protective energy. Her earliest name, Bast, might even translate to she of the ointment jar. Ointments were essential moisturizers and perfumes in Egypt's dry climate, so she was seen as the perfumed protector, whose blessings were as soothing as the balms she was named for. She made a house a home, safe, healthy, and happy. But this gentle figure is only one half of a much older, and much fiercer story. The secret role: the lioness of war. Long before she was the guardian of the hearth, Bastet was a creature of terrifying power. Her story begins early, with clear evidence of her worship dating back to the Old Kingdom around the 6th dynasty. In this first form, she appears not as a cat, but as a fearsome lioness. This was Bastet in her original, untamed state. Her early titles weren't Lady of the Home, but the Lady of Dread and the Lady of Slaughter. She was closely linked with other lioness goddesses, especially the terrifying Sekhmet, the goddess of war and divine punishment. For a long time, Bastet and Sekhmet were seen as two sides of the same coin. Sekhmet was the scorching, destructive heat of the midday sun, while Bastet was the gentler, life-giving warmth of the rising sun. Still a lioness, but a protector, not just a punisher. And her most secret role was cosmic. Bastet was one of the deities known as the Eye of Ra. This wasn't just a title, it was a job. The Eye of Ra was an immensely powerful female being that the sun god Ra could send to destroy his enemies. Every night, as Ra journeyed through the perilous underworld, he faced his arch-nemesis, the giant serpent Apophis, a creature of pure chaos who wanted to swallow the sun and plunge the world into darkness. And who stood at the front of that boat, defending the creator god? It was Bastet. Ancient art shows her as a lioness, or sometimes as a cat holding a knife, slicing off the serpent's head. This was her sacred duty, to battle cosmic evil every single night, just to make sure the sun would rise again. For the Egyptians, this was a fight that had to be won, over and over, and Bastet was one of its greatest champions. As the protector of Ra, she was also the protector of the pharaoh, who was seen as Ra's son on earth. The pyramid texts, some of the oldest religious writings in the world, describe her as a fierce but maternal guardian of the king. Her ferocity was a promise. Anyone who threatened the pharaoh would face the wrath of the lioness. This was Bastet's original job description. She wasn't just a household guardian, she was a cosmic defender keeping chaos at bay. The Great Transformation. So, what gives? How does a bloodthirsty lady of slaughter become the gentle, purring goddess of the home? The answer is a slow, fascinating evolution that reflects the changing soul of ancient Egypt. Bastet's transformation from lioness to cat really started to gain steam during the New Kingdom around 1500 BC, and became dominant in the late period after 1000 BC. As Egyptian society grew more stable, the need for terrifying, warlike gods in everyday life began to fade. The truly scary divine jobs became more concentrated in gods like Sekhmet, who kept her image as the wrathful avenger. This gave Bastet's identity room to soften. The key was the growing importance of the domestic cat. As we've seen, cats were invaluable. They protected the nation's food supply and kept homes safe. Their real-world job as family protectors mirrored Bastet's divine duties perfectly, just on a smaller scale. Plus, the Egyptians admired the cat's dual nature. A cat can be a gentle, loving companion, purring by the fire. It's also a symbol of fertility. But in a flash, that same animal can become a silent, deadly hunter. This duality, the ability to be both gentle and lethal, nurturing and protective, was the very essence of Bastet. In the cat, the Egyptians saw a living, breathing symbol of their goddess's complex personality. You can see this shift in the art. While the earliest images are all lioness, later art almost exclusively shows her as a domestic cat or a cat-headed woman, holding the ankh, the symbol of life, and the sistrum. She's often surrounded by kittens, highlighting her role as a goddess of fertility and a good mother. This evolution helped her become more distinct from Sekhmet. They were still related, maybe as sisters or two sides of the same being, but their roles became clearer. If you needed an enemy army destroyed, you prayed to Sekhmet. But if you wanted to protect your child from a fever or have a happy family, you turned to Bastet. This shift didn't erase her power, it refined it. It brought her out of the cosmic battles and into the hearts of the Egyptian people, making her one of the most beloved deities they ever had. Bubastis, the city of joy. To really get the scale of Bastet's fame, we have to go to her earthly headquarters, the city of Bubastis. Located in the Nile Delta, Bubastis, or Tel Basta today, was the center of her cult and one of the most important cities in Egypt. The Greek historian Herodotus, traveling there in the 5th century BC, was completely smitten. He said Bastet's temple was the most beautiful in all of Egypt, not for its size, but for its setting. He described how it sat on an island, surrounded by canals and shaded by trees, with the rest of the city built up around it so people could look down into the sacred grounds. Inside the grand red granite temple were the quarters for the sacred cats, seen as the living embodiments of Bastet herself. But Bubastis was most famous for one thing, the annual festival of Bastet. According to Herodotus, this was the biggest, wildest party in all of Egypt. He claimed that as many as 700,000 people would travel there for the event. While modern historians think that number is probably a bit of an exaggeration, you get the idea, it was massive. People floated down the Nile in huge party barges. Herodotus describes the boats filled with men playing flutes, women playing cymbals, and everyone singing and clapping. As they passed towns, the women on the boats would shout, sing, and in a ritual display of fertility and joyful freedom, sometimes lift their robes. This was a time of ecstatic release, a temporary break from the rules in honor of the goddess of joy. Once in Bubastis, the real party started. Herodotus reported that more wine was drunk during this one festival than in the entire rest of the year. It was a time of drinking, dancing, and unrestrained celebration, all linked to the idea of fertility. By tapping into this joyous energy, the partygoers were celebrating the very essence of life and passion that Bastet represented. She wasn't a goddess to be feared from afar. She was the divine host of Egypt's greatest party. The sacred cats and the evidence in the sand. The worship of Bastet left behind some of the most startling physical evidence of religious devotion ever found. Huge cemeteries filled with hundreds of thousands of mummified cats. The cat was Bastet's sacred animal, and harming one, even by accident, was a crime often punishable by death. When a family's pet cat died, they would go into mourning and shave their eyebrows as a sign of grief, just like they would for a human relative. But it went even further. To earn Bastet's favor, pilgrims would buy mummified cats as offerings at her temples. This became a massive industry, with caterers that likely bred cats specifically to become sacred offerings, sort of like lighting a prayer candle at a church today. The sheer scale of this is mind-boggling. When the temple at Bubastis was excavated in the 19th century, archaeologists found catacombs packed with the remains of an estimated 300,000 mummified cats. Tragically, the discovery was so huge that the mummies weren't seen as artifacts. They were shipped to England by the ton and ground up to be sold as fertilizer. Fortunately, other sites have been treated better. At Saqqara, the great necropolis near Memphis, archaeologists have found tombs full of cat mummies, mostly from the late period after 700 BCE. Along with them were hundreds of gilded cat statues and a stunning bronze statue of Bastet herself. The mummification process for these cats was meticulous, mirroring the rites for humans. They were dried, anointed with oils, and wrapped in intricate linen bandages, sometimes with eyes and ears painted on the outside. The Egyptians believed that by preserving the body, the cat's spirit could deliver the pilgrim's prayer directly to the goddess in the afterlife. These silent armies in the sand are maybe the most powerful testament to Bastet's influence. Millions of individual acts of faith. So, who was Bastet? Was she the roaring lioness or the purring cat? The answer is, she was both. She perfectly represents the ancient Egyptian worldview, where duality wasn't a contradiction, but a basic truth of the universe. She was the Lady of Dread and the Perfumed Protector, a warrior who killed the serpent of chaos and a nurturer who watched over families. Her secret role wasn't just being a warrior, it was her ability to hold both ferocity and gentleness in perfect balance, and to change her form to meet the needs of her people. When they needed a cosmic defender, she was the lioness. When they needed a guardian for their homes, she became the cat. Bastet was one of the most beloved and enduring gods of ancient Egypt because she was woven into every part of life, from epic myths to quiet moments of peace at home. And maybe our modern obsession with cats, our fascination with their mysterious grace, their dual nature as both cuddly companions and stone-cold predators, is a faint echo of the worship once paid to this powerful goddess. A whisper across the millennia, reminding us of the Lady of Slaughter who chose to become the guardian of the home. Who is your favorite Egyptian god? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more hidden stories from history.